They say the forest remembers everything. Every secret buried beneath its roots, every scream it swallows whole. It's easy to forget that the wilderness is older than any of us. Older than our laws, our towns, our sense of safety. Out there, the trees don't care who you are. They just watch. Tonight we're peeling back those memories. Not myths, not urban legends, but the true confessions of the men and women who patrol those endless miles of darkness. Park rangers who've seen what the rest of us were never meant to see. Who've buried more than footprints in the dirt. Some of them never spoke about it again. Others couldn't stop. They said the forest calls you back. That once you've heard its voice, it never really lets you go. So if you've ever thought about taking a midnight hike, or straying off the trail just to see what's beyond the trees, you might want to hear this first. Because tonight you'll find out what they found buried in the forest. Ranger Tom had been stationed deep in the Pacific Northwest for almost 12 years, the kind of man who'd seen everything the wilderness could throw at him. Wildfires, lost hikers, animal attacks, but nothing like what he found that night. It started with a radio call, a faint, nervous voice from a group of campers at Ridge Hollow. They claimed they'd found something buried near their old fire pit. Something that looked like a hand. Tom rolled his eyes at first. Probably another prank. You'd be surprised how many people think fake skeletons are funny at 2 a.m. But as he drove down that old dirt road, headlights cutting through the mist, something in his gut felt wrong. The forest was too quiet. Even the crickets had gone silent. When he reached the site, the campers were gone. Their tents still stood, fire still smoldering, but not a soul in sight. Only that pit of disturbed earth, glistening faintly under the beam of his flashlight. He crouched down. The air smelled of iron and something sweet, decayed. He brushed away the dirt with his glove, slow, careful, until his light caught on something pale. A hand, leathery, dried but intact. The fingers curled around a dull piece of metal. When he pried it loose, he realized it wasn't a trinket or a weapon. It was a badge. His heart froze. A park ranger badge. And when the coroner examined it later that night, the serial number matched a name long forgotten. Ranger Samuel Pierce. A man who had vanished from the same forest back in 1987, without a trace. They never found the rest of the body. Just that arm, and the badge. Tom transferred posts less than a month later. He stopped answering his radio calls. Stopped sleeping through the night. But before he left, he said something to the rookie who took his place. Something that's still whispered around the ranger station to this day. The forest gives back what it takes. Eventually. But here's the thing no one tells you about Tom's story. 2 weeks after he left, the new ranger found something outside the cabin. Half buried in the mud. Another badge. With Tom's name on it. The last confession comes from an anonymous ranger station somewhere in the Appalachian Mountains. He refused to give his real name, only the initials, DM. DM wasn't a rookie. He'd served over 20 years in the parks, the kind of ranger who lived and breathed solitude. But in his final letter to the service, a letter never meant for the public, he described something that even now no one has been able to explain. Every autumn, when the fog settled low and the air turned metallic, DM claimed a section of forest about half a mile north of the station would move. Not the trees. Not the rocks. The ground. He said burial markers would appear overnight, rough stones jutting from the moss, each carved with strange, uneven letters. Sometimes initials. Sometimes full names. And sometimes dates that hadn't happened yet. By morning they were gone. Just flat earth, undisturbed. No prints. No sign of digging. DM thought maybe it was vandals or local kids messing around. So one evening he marked the area with orange ranger tape, bright, impossible to miss. But when he woke up the next morning, the tape wasn't in the woods anymore. It was tied neatly around the handle of his cabin door. Looped in a perfect knot. Like someone, or something, wanted him to know they'd been there. That night he started keeping his radio on scan. Static mostly. Occasional wildlife chatter. Until one night, right after 2 a.m., the frequency froze. And a voice came through. Flat. Cold. You're walking on us. He searched the cabin, the woods, and the station, but there was no one. Still he said he could feel them. Under the ground. Shifting. Turning. Counting. When the other rangers arrived the next morning, DM was gone. His truck still there. His radio left on, broadcasting nothing but a faint heartbeat of static. The only thing they found was a note pinned to the station wall. Written in mud. The forest keeps count. Weeks later, another ranger went to check that same patch of forest. She said the earth felt hollow. And when she brushed away the leaves, she found something sticking out of the dirt. A small metal tag. with the letters DM scratched into it. And beneath it, a date. Some stories are told around campfires. Others are whispered through the trees, carried by the wind, waiting for someone brave enough to listen. Maybe that's all these are. Stories. Or maybe they're warnings. Because the rangers who told these tales didn't ask to be believed. They just wanted someone to remember. So the next time you wander into a national park, and your radio hisses with unexplained static, or you find a patch of ground that feels freshly turned when it shouldn't be, stop. Listen. The forest has a way of keeping count. And sometimes, it wants you to know you've been counted. This has been Whispers and Wonder Tales. If you've ever felt the forest watching you, or heard something it shouldn't be able to say, share your story in the comments below. Because the next whisper might be yours.